In this video, we are starting off with the scope of properties and methods in PHP. It's good you note that properties and methods in PHP are of 3 scopes, and they are very simple to remember. The first scope we have seen a lot is the public scope. Now, once you declare your property or method as public, what you are simply saying is, you're saying outside code can have access to them, and you're also giving free access to extending classes as well. And that is fair and simple enough, right? Now, the next scope we'll be talking about is the private scope. When we actually declare our property and method as private, we're saying that outside code cannot have access to this property or method, but extending class can have free access to it. And that is as simple as that. The last scope we'll be talking about here is the protected scope. And what this one is saying is that the properties and methods declared within this scope cannot be accessed by outside code. Same as extending class, they cannot access it. So protected seems to be the most strongest and seems to be overprotective, if you may. And so you are currently looking at the 3 scopes in which our properties and our methods can be declared. You are used to the public already, only that we are yet to try out the private and protected. We are not going to do that just yet, but we had to create this video tutorial so that you can see what they mean and how they work, just in case you are working with someone else's code or you are doing some other stuff. So please try and get these 3 scopes and how they work at the back of your mind somewhere. So we are moving on now to static property and method. Sometimes your properties can be declared as static, same as your method. Sometimes they are declared as static. How then can you make use of their values? How can you manipulate the actions within them? Very, very simple. And this code on your screen right now takes care of those questions. We've already created a class test, and within the class we've already created a static property, my name, and we've assigned it my name, after which we created a static method to simply say hello. So this method actually returns hello world. That is all. Very, very simple. So at this point you might say, oh, I remember what I need to do to access my static properties and methods. I'll simply call the class name, followed by the scope resolution operator, and then followed by the name of my property. The name of my property in this case is my underscore name. So this is how I am going to do it. How about for my method? It's also very simple. I'll simply call my class name, followed by the scope resolution operator, and then the name of my method, which is say hello. And of course, I do not want to forget my parenthesis. So if I save this and refresh this, absolutely nothing happens, because I am supposed to echo this statement. Also, I would not also want to forget to put my new line so that they would not fall on the same line. So let me just quickly take care of that. And as a lazy programmer, I will just copy this and paste it somewhere here. That being said and done, I will save this code and refresh it, and you will notice that only my name is appearing, because within this method I said return. So I'll just have to come here and echo it. I hope you guys are taking note of all the silly mistakes one can make when writing code and then trying to debug them. So if I save this and refresh, it all comes out nicely. So the first echo worked nicely. My class name, the double colon, and then the name of the static property. And then we got the output of the value associated with the static property. And then for my static method, the class name, the double colon, and then the name of my method. And this actually outputted what my method asked to return. Hello world. But you might be wondering, what if we do them the usual way? Are you telling me they won't work? And what is this usual way in the first place? We create an object, for example, use class, and then we set it to the class. Yes, instantiate the class. Test. So that's fair enough. Easy. And then we do the usual. We type use underscore class, and then we say point to, let us first of all point to the method. So I'm going to type say hello first. Don't forget your parenthesis and your end of statement. In this case, should I save this and refresh this? Nothing happens. Why? Because once again, I refuse to echo. So I'll just save this and refresh this, and then you notice hello world is outputted nicely. So what this simply shows is you can use the instance of a class to access the result of a static method. Now, what about a static property? Will it work? There's only one way to find out. So we'll still do what we have to do. We say echo. What do we want to echo? Use class, pointing to, this time around, the property. And the name of the property is my name. And that is going to be all for now. End of statement. I save this and I refresh this. Oh my god, we just got an error. It says accessing static property. This is not allowed. In fact, it says it's an undefined property. So you are going to get a fatal error if you are trying to get to the value of a static property through an object. So let's just write this off right now. Please do not ever do that. So the idea of this whole thing is how to gain access to a static property and a static method. And we have learned so far that this method works all the time for static properties and static methods. All you need to do is call the class name and the static property, or the class name and the static method. And please do not forget the scope resolution operator in between. But then when we want to make use of an object, it can only work with a static method. It would never work with a static property. And that is the point of this exercise. I hope you get the overall idea of what we're trying to pass here. In the next video, we actually want to talk about inheritance. You notice we've been saying extending class can access this, cannot access that. What do we actually mean? In the next video, you will understand that. And that is the last concept we'll be talking about in this introductory video to object-oriented PHP. I hope you guys are so excited to join me there. And as usual, I am waiting for you in the very next video. See you there.